of the ditch. You're good until you get west of Hiawassee Avenue.
Oh, right.
Good there.
Well, Chairman, I have 9 o'clock.
Yep,
I just, it's not back there. It's over here now.
Stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to the regular county committee. It is 9 o'clock. Serving you today, we've got Commissioner Lee Johnson, Commissioner Doug Nagel, Commissioner Dallas Rosskamp, Commissioner Chris Hollingworth, myself, Dave Bowman, also our county administrator, Steve Ewing, and our HR coordinator, Kathy Vestigar. Welcome. Let's have a think for a second. You've all received a copy of the agenda that was posted online as well. So we've had a chance to look through that. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 items, please. Under consent agenda commissioners warrants, I have add-on warrants this morning of $35,244.14, $35,244.14. And then I would like to add as other business, the Des Moines Valley Health and Human Service Southwest Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium Agreement. That's a mouthful. It's the fiscal host agreement. And I did supply copies of an old agreement and the new proposed agreement at your desk and media, and we have extra copies in the back too for it.
So we'll put that in other business right before personnel.
That's fine. However you want to do it, that's fine. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain the motion.
I'll move just
In a second. Thank you, Dallas and Doug. Moving second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. None opposed. Passes. Okay. Then also in your packet, you received the actual auditor's warrants to the consent agenda. In the consent agenda, we have got the meeting minutes then from the 28th. Excuse me. Yep, minutes from the 28th, also the auditor warrants in of the 31st and also the 7th. Commissioner warrants, the commissioner warrants for the $35,244.14. Hospital warrants of $392,000, $392,217.46. And the treasurer's report.
Chair, I move for approval.
Second. Moved and seconded. Further question, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Good. Nick, we are ready for you. Our county engineer, Dick Bergman, presents road and bridge information for us. It's
Good morning.
Actually, good morning, Dick.
First up for me today will be some project updates. Excuse me. First update I have would be ANC Excavating 2023 box culvert contract number 2. We opened bids with that, or before that on March 28th. Next update would be the following page, which would be our 2023 overlays. I reached out, I was hoping to get a date from them. That's why it's blank back into that sentence, but it looks like they are going to be starting possibly right after road postings for us. So, and I think they'll go off May 8th, I believe is the date. I haven't heard anything from NDOT. That's just me looking at the calendar of when they went on and counting 8 weeks or whatever it was. So, you know, it's possible they get another job and go to that job first, but I really think they're going to be working on us right away. So that's good. Get done with the time. Next update will be Rogie Excavating gravel crushing. We opened bids March 28th. We got contracts back, so that's moving forward to that. And I guess that's the last update. That's Stone Arch Bridge. I don't really have anything official yet, but the plans are and they're reviewing that. Such a weird project. They're having problems figuring out who all needs to sign off on it or whatever, but it doesn't sounds like it's just a time issue and that's a problem with it. So
So do you think that the project will be done this season or next season?
At this point, I think it will be let this year with the option to work on it this year or next year. So that's what they recommended us. I don't, originally we talked with them about trying to get it all done this year, but I think they tried reading between the lines. They didn't know if they'd be able to get it back to us in time because there's not many contractors that do this type of work. So if they're both full, and we said it had to be done this year, we might not get any bids. Or that, yes, so. I think, excuse me, be best off just letting the project. And having a completion date of next year. So, which is fine with me, so as long as it's, moving forward. So that's it for project updates. Next for me, we need to approve a bonding agreement with a resolution for the for project SAP 059-607-023. That's a box culvert on our County Road 7 between County Road 15 and Highway 75. You haven't seen one of these agreements in a while. We haven't had any funding in a while, but it's essentially the same thing we've had in the past. So it's just the state standard cookie cutter agreement on. I guess it's the mechanism to get us the bonding funds. So nothing out of the ordinary with this one.
Okay, I move for approval.
Thank you, Lou. Second. Thank you, Doug, for seconds, but move the second. Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, next up for me would be follow-up from the road and bridge hearing. There's a number of questions asked, so I think I got them all. I got them all answered here on this sheet. I'll just run through them quick. First one, we were asked if we could either pave or put down dust control on the New Alta Dairy Road. If we did a grading and paving project, that would cost us in the millions. It's not a state aid road, so it'd have to be, whole thing would have to be levied for. Dust control, I called our normal dust control supplier, or normal low bid supplier, just to get an estimate. And it looks like that would cost around $12,000 per application if we went to pull it the whole way, so.
Does this have enough traffic count to help the residents?
I have not done a traffic count on that road to see if the cost share would qualify. This is just the full length.
That's the biggest issue is those two residents.
Yes, yep. Yep, and I can look at that. There's already a policy in place for that, but I got the impression that the question we were asked was for the whole length of it, and I just want to give you that number just to be thorough.
Yeah, the complaints would be zero if the residents had some help.
Okay, you think that would probably take care? Okay, I'll look at that in particular. Then, so.
Well, but if it doesn't meet traffic count.
Right, then we can't, but I just wanted to give you the whole in what it would cost, the whole thing. So,
And it could very well be with the amount of workers out there that perhaps until we actually do the count, we won't know it.
There is a lot of traffic.
There's a lot of traffic on them.
Yep, and we can certainly do a count. That's fine, no problems with that. But if we did the whole stretch, I think that would open up a giant can of worms, then we'd be asked to do it in a bunch of other places. Get really expensive.
We've got our own counting equipment, don't we?
Yes.
Contract. I thought.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll do by the residents. Yeah, we can do that. So. Next question I had listed from the road bridge hearing, we were asked if we could put down more gravel on the way to the Trosky waste pond on, that county road segment. And I told them, yeah, if we can put some more down there, assuming they'll have some heavier traffic or something. So that's pretty sure.
Gonna go just the county part, because the next part is township.
we would only do our segment.
So the waste pond is further on than where the county road stops.
Okay, yeah, I think I know where it's at. I think they told me.
Next hill over Cemetery Hill, and it's on the left.
Yeah,
Where
we
do they
would,
have that construction? Is that been graded yet?
so we would only do our road. We build up our.
Would there be, should we check with the township chairman and see if he'd like to have us put gravel down for him, or would they do their own gravel?
They do their own.
They would do it.
Part of that road has got the dust control on it already, so you put the gravel on
Oh,
there.
sure.
Right, so we probably
Get the dust control.
do ours before it would be applied in the spring. You know, like as soon as posting went off, we'd probably try to do this.
Thank you.
Yep. Next question was, can the county do more maintenance graveling? We can certainly try to do that. It was our intent to try to do more last year, but we were pretty short staffed, so we didn't get much extra than last year, so. We are getting really close to being fully staffed now, so we can keep that up. Maybe that's something we can actually do this year then. Next item, we were asked if we could move the County Road 17 tile and gravel project up. So in the very near future, we'll start working on our 5-year plan, or updating the 5-year plan. But it looks to me like if we use that levy money from that old hospital loan coupled with the village tax, I think there's actually a pretty good chance we could do that. County Road 17 project in 2024. So if that's something that you might be interested in, we could try to put together some better numbers and get a better idea on how deliverable that is.
I'd like to see this moved up if possible. This is a problem been going on for
As long as I can remember.
20 years or more. It's been long, so it'd be nice to move it up. Sure, refresh my memory. Where is this from to?
The road.
So
17. No, 17.
do you know where the,
Gravel. Oh, that.
you go past, past rural water, turns north and then the blacktop ends. So it'll be from there up to Highway 30. We're looking at adding tile down the center of it. And then adding probably 6 inches of gravel to it, or maybe be 6 on the outside and 9 in the middle to get a nice crown back to it.
Narrow it up to.
And then we probably pull the shoulders in a little bit. So there's not so much water sitting on it. We try to get better drainage on the surface, tile underneath, build up the gravel on it for strength, so.
Do we know the history of that? Why was that road ever so wide in the first place?
Well, it was before my time, but I assume that it was built with the possibility of paving.
Okay.
That was just like Dave's theory, I think.
Yeah.
That was done.
So I've been here over 15 years and that was before my time, so I can't say for
I
sure.
was here, but I wasn't involved at all, but
Okay,
it was the case in blacktop.
And then of course, then we got those, I think there's 2 or just 1 big gravel pit on the east side of that. There's a lot of gravel hauled down.
there's 2 gravel pits on that road. I think I know one we paved out of. The other one on the west side, I don't know if they just sell gravel out of that. I think that's secure concrete plant, right? Yeah,
Was east.
yeah. So I don't know if they sell gravel out of there. Maybe they would. I don't know. I think they use that for themselves, but I'm not certain on that. I say that because I don't ever remember seeing like a project operating out of there.
Just for a point of clarification too, we use that term old hospital loan, so that no one's confused about that. For clarification, we had a debt when we built the hospital and has been paid off. So it's not an old loan, it's encumbrance that we had from levy money that we paid off.
If there's a better way to refer to that, I'm fine with that. I just don't know what else to call it. This is how I identify with what it came from.
Any suggestions?
Which funding is this you're talking about? The,
The money that we shifted to a road account
When
from
we retired that,
the old referendum debt from the hospital.
oh, that was from the late nineties remodeling project.
Right, which was a voter approved.
Yeah, the voter approved levy to upgrade the ER and that whole section down there back in the nineties. I guess that'd be for a hospital. I would call it hospital emergency area remodeling project.
Right.
That's a little more clear.
and that debt has been paid off, and when we talk about the times, as long as our budget is used to that expenditure to refocus that towards road and bridges, so it's not an old debt, that debt is gone. This is just levy money.
We're still levying for it. But
Right.
it's 220,000 a year we're
Right.
putting out, which was approximate amount of the payment.
Correct,
But I mean, we should have been levying for roads all along.
right, exactly.
And this was just a way to do
Right.
it that was the least impactful.
Yeah.
So maybe going forward, I'll just start calling that local levy.
Well,
Would
that
that make more
makes
sense,
sense,
or-
we've designated that for road
Yeah,
and bridge.
it's a
basically,
local-
road and Bridge levy.
Road levy.
Okay. Cause I keep tabs on that, you know, myself, so I kind of know how much we've taken in for that purpose. and wanna Make sure we use it for that purpose, so. I'll just retitle it that. Yeah, no problem. So I guess what I'm hearing is probably do the work to see if we can make that happen in 24 with that and we'd have to couple that with the wheelage tax, but money that we have saved up, but that's what all this stuff is for, so.
Okay.
So, yeah, we will, we'll get a better idea of if we can deliver that next year then, so. Okay. Next question, is Pipestone in line with other counties for the amount of maintenance gravel we put on our roads? So I pulled, some of the surrounding counties. And, I found that the average. Let me back up. I asked them how many gravel miles they maintained and how many tons of maintenance gravel they go through every year. So then I just divided, the tons by the miles and I came up with, they range from 145 to 286. The average is 198 and we're at about 203. So I would say we pretty much are the average. We have windmill traffic, we have a lot of livestock units around, so I don't think we'd be out of line at all. If we upped our gravel tons per mile for maintenance gravel. So, if that's, I guess that's just a follow up to that question, I was asked how we are compared to other counties, so. Right at average, so I think we could go up reasonably if that's what the board wants. These numbers might be a little bit off because they just told me all the maintenance gravel they went for, and some of that's used on shouldering, so probably the maintenance gravel on the gravel roads probably actually a little bit less than this, but I'd like to think that it's about it'd be proportional for everybody down a little bit. But gives us an idea. I still think we come out right in the middle. So. Next question, we were asked if we could post the new Alta Dairy Road. And I don't know why this didn't dawn on me at the time, but all of gravel roads during spring load postings are 5 tons per axle unless posted higher. So technically that's done as soon as postings go on.
So just about every truck that goes there is breaking law.
Yeah, I would say, but it's not specific to them. I would say that's every bar.
Yeah, every other farm.
Yeah.
That's when our gravel roads are chipped. This is their, not ours.
I heard at one point in time that milk trucks have an exemption. I never looked that up myself, but I heard that.
You're right.
Okay.
Farm to market exemption, some kind of, like you ever refer to.
I don't know if it would apply to grain truck,
Grains.
but I think milk it does. And then I think I saw the governor issued an executive order or something for. I think for septic pumpers. Any of you hear anything about that? Something with all the flooding or whatever, they expect these septic systems to be overrun or something like that, so pumpers can be more hauled faster or something like that. I didn't pay much attention to it. I didn't, what we even do about it, you know, so I didn't worry too much about that. Last question I have here. I was asked how load posting dates are determined and does the county have to follow the state? So I did some checking with the state and I got in touch with the guy who must head that department. I think that handout's in your packet.
Mhm.
But so it looks like there's a formula they use, has to do with the time of the year and a big fancy equation based on forecast. So that's how they determine when the postings go on and come off. We do not have to follow them, but I guess we don't really have, I don't have any reason to do otherwise. So I would, it's up to me, I'd probably keep throwing ours on when state puts theirs on. I mean, I don't have any better science than this.
But you do have the latitude that if we had an exceptionally wet spring, that you could.
Yes.
Sooner. Or
We could,
hold a while.
or I wouldn't be afraid to keep ours on longer if we felt that it was needed. So, I guess that's how I feel about it, so. You know, I'll do whatever the board wants, but
Yeah, do you think this takes formal board action on our part? Basically, we got the authority to do it as you see fit. Sort of thing.
I think Dave's done it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, so go ahead and use your judgment. He's coming on earlier, stay on.
okay, that's how we'll do that, so. Kind of an interesting formula, looks pretty long. And
I haven't seen a formula like that since calculus.
I had a lot of them like that, in open channel hydraulics in school. Some of the longer ones. Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Good old days. All that math I had to learn, having new sense.
How are the roads holding up? I know I haven't, I'll say it's in your next update here on maintenance.
I would say surprisingly well. They started to get really bad and then they just seemed like they healed up, so
Where's the frost at? Does anybody know?
I haven't looked yet this week. There's MnDOT has a depth monitor in Marshall and they have one in Worthington. It's on their website. You can, you know, anybody can look it up. It's free to the public. I haven't looked yet this week, but there's surprisingly little action when I looked last week. Do you keep an eye on that, Doug, or
Yeah.
did you used to look at
Seems
that?
like it's across, well, so yeah.
Yeah, like I had, I don't know, I've never really seen like we had a whole lot, I don't think, like in my yard, I gouged a lot of sod in the middle of winter, like, oh, geez.
Mr. Chairman, that little power line there.
Yeah,
They had a certain amount of funds come through.
yeah, it's not bad.
They're busy,
Yeah, I see that.
So that's good news. I like that. I was worried we're gonna have a lot of road repairs with all the snow, but it seems going surprisingly well. Couple maintenance updates then. Last month, we moved a lot of snow. We had 2 new guys start and now we're tearing apart pumps, getting them ready for the gravel hauling season. One last update, those 2 segments we put the tile on, we feel that that's been very beneficial. The one to New Alta Dairy, you can drive down that road and tell right where our project quit, where it, you know, where it is or where it isn't, you can easily tell, so.
Now it's just gonna be the cost feasibility of it. Is the expense gonna be worth moving forward for other roads, do you think? Some cases probably.
I think it will. That's just my opinion. We may try. Maybe try to find like a shorter segment and do just the gravel. You know, a bunch of gravel without tile and see how that compares to the segments or the gravel and the tile. I don't. I like the thought of the tile in there, but you know, we'll try it another segment with just the extra gravel and
But in,
try to make sure that it's worth the money.
in years past, though, obviously, we've had roads put extra gravel on, and they've still got less. I don't know if it really, it's pretty obvious that the tile is very helpful.
Yeah, I think so. Doug would probably be the best to answer this, but our County Road 15 south of town, I feel like we had a lot of problems on that until we did the tile and gravel. Now it's pretty good.
Been very,
Very good. It's nice to know it's effective.
Yeah, and you know, so if that can support our traffic needs, that would be a lot more cost effective than paving or it's a fraction of the cost. So. Any other questions for me? Otherwise, that's all I have for today.
Another question to come up at our road and bridge hearing was that discussion about Murray County and the wind turbine project in the township. So they have a lot of traffic on their roads and all that discussion.
Yep. So I got in contact with them and I got copied on an email from their zoning coordinator to the wind tower person. And then that wind tower person reached out to me and asked me for a township contact. And I gave them that contact, and that's the last I heard on it.
Good. So hopefully they're going to step over and take care of it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't have it confirmed that they reached out to the township, but I mean, everything to me indicates they contacted me looking for a point of contact for the township. I don't know why I quit there, but
And you know, did Murray County hold back any funds?
I believe they closed theirs out.
They did.
And all their stuff was in order.
So there's not a specific lever to make them do it.
No, I
But
don't
they
think
are
so.
stepping up and they are at least addressing it with the township.
Right, I think the message from zoning to them was, you know, you guys pride yourself on having good relationship with your locals or
And
something
they
like
will come
that,
back
so.
to this area again someday.
Yeah, so we think you need to reach out and remedy this.
Good.
That's the
I'm
email he
glad you're
responded to.
To help facilitate that for the township.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else, anything for Nick?
I got one more thing. I had a farmer contact me and he said he was willing to help upgrade his road. How would he do that?
Did he say how? I feel like we had a guy ran a tile down the road once and then in return, we put extra gravel on it. Do you remember that? Is that how that worked?
They did tile. They put in the tile in front of their yard.
Okay,
Which was 2 feet, I don't want maybe 800 feet, whatever. And then we put extra gravel on top.
and that,
We might have actually paid for the tile, they installed it.
okay, so we bought the product, they installed it.
Tile itself is pretty cheap. That was
Yeah.
6 cents a foot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty cheap, but they had a tile sheet, they installed it.
So,
When you live in town and the curb and gutter goes by, you gotta pay your share. Is there some? Don't want to get into a can of worms with that.
I guess I wouldn't have a problem if we did that. You know, like Doug was saying,
Same
like,
type of thing.
yeah. Do you know if this person has a plow by chance or,
I think they do, yes.
okay,
It's probably the same people.
yeah, I mean,
don't
that
wanna
works
say-
out pretty good, didn't it?
I don't want to say the name. but- Yeah, no, it worked. Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you put them in contact with Nick, get Nick their.
Yeah.
The contact information, have that contact.
Well, that's a real crispy, so. That's who brought it up.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I remember, yeah. Okay, yeah,
So there are farmers out there that are aware that they're causing the problem, that would want to help.
yeah, so I guess. I don't have any problem with doing the same thing again, like. If I'm able to buy that. We'll pay for the product if you install it and we'll put some extra gravel on the top of it. I guess we have a precedent of it working. You know,
So it was a good deal, both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Get that out there, so the options available.
yeah, yeah, good with that, so.
I would assume there's a certain standard they have to meet to do that, though. I mean,
We would probably
size of the tile.
Yeah, I think we just okayed what they were putting in.
What size do you use in the road?
Number 5.
Yeah, so I think when I talked to that guy that put ours in last year, I think he said he's never seen one run. But they always seem to work.
They were a state 5 or 6. It wasn't 4.
It wasn't 4, okay. So maybe I would just, if they wanted to do that, maybe I would just say, okay, here's the requirements we had for the contractor we hired, you know, and have to be installed like this. You know. That'd be fine with me. That might be the easiest way to do it, you know, to make sure everybody's on. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions for you?
I think we're good.
No? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we got Billy Browns and White.
Thank you, sir.
Right on. Here, watch. You know, I'll take care of it. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Chairman and board members, you have in front of you 2 quotes. We have a bid from Peak Pros and also from Griebel for the roof out at the new soil and water extension building, former mental health building. 30,600 from Peak Pros and 38,215 from Griebel. Recommendation would be to approve the bid from Peak Pros at 30,600. And for full disclosure, given they are the low bid and their schedule opened up, and believe it or not, they started tearing off yesterday. So it is in progress. It's kind of a little unorthodox. This is happening, but seems like when you can get somebody, you need to get going on them right now. It's like we've been waiting a long time to get this done. The reason this is being done is the roof was inspected. We looked at over and the roof is not in good shape. And it needs to be done. So the recommendation to pay for it, I would like to use 30,600 from our remaining ARPA funding, which we have approximately $100,000 left of that funding that's not earmarked right now.
And we were in the loop on this, so it was nothing over by any means.
No, not at all.
Practical, use that we started, and actually, we put in a long day. We got quite a ways to get started on that. So I appreciate that we're able to move forward on this. And again, using the funds for this, we had funds already designated, but we talked about that. So I don't have a problem with this.
Are these like 35-year shingle? What's the life of the shingle?
There is no.
There-
life. They won't guarantee you anymore.
No, but I mean, don't they? Yeah,
They're heavy duty. They're in the 30s. They're in the 30, 35
yeah,
year
they get
range.
those thicker ones.
The architectural, is that what they call them? And also, he had a good price on the shingles because he buys by the truckload. He had materials on hand as well too, which is, today it's nice to have those materials. That's been a whole lot of other projects too. So I'm very, very pleased with this. So, in fact, I will go ahead and move that we approve the expenditure of $30,600 coming out of our ARPA funds for this. Second. Thank you, Chris. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, John.
Thank you for that. And just to let you know too, that the little EMS house over by EMS was damaged last May in the windstorm that came through on May 12th. And we've been waiting over a year to get that done. And so this is in the $4,000 range. So that's already, I'm taking care of that. So they're taking care of that roof. We have insurance paying for allowing that other than $1,000. They're also going to do the garage too at the same time.
Good.
So
And the damage was limited just to the shingles. You have the siding damage to it.
no, there was no siding. It was just a roof. It blew the shingles off the roof. When they put the roof on, they used really tiny little
Sure,
nails on it. So it took it all off. So
So for
it's been blue tarp since last May.
So how much of the roof is going to be both roofs completely?
Both roofs will be completely redone.
Very good.
So, and insurance will take care of the house roof, but we'll do it for the other part of the roof, so, on the garage, which is a separate garage and a separate house, so. But that's under the limit, that doesn't have to come into the board approval for that little project, but just want to keep you in the loop on it, that's finally being done.
Addressed.
Thank you for that. And just an update on how, on the building, as long as we're talking about it, Griebel's been working at about 2 weeks now. I went out and visited it last Friday. And he has all of the ceiling grid up in every room, except the areas where we're not doing it, like the kitchen. He's got the office areas on the north end for soil and water roughed in. The window openings are all done, waiting for the windows. I believe a week ago, Viking Glass was up there to give them quotes on the doors. All the flooring that's coming off has been removed. The carpeting, that type of thing, the vinyl plank flooring through Rustad has been ordered, so things are coming together finally on that. And we're still hoping for a July 1st completion date, so we can get people moved in by July 1st. I'm hoping that. Obviously, we need Stouts to come back and do the rest of the HVAC system. We do have two furnaces actually working, no air conditioner are working at this time, but so it's coming along.
If I recall, on the west side, don't we have to pour some concrete slabs to put down the condensing units for air conditioners?
Yes, we gotta wait for weather to
Right.
firm up the ground and all that.
Wait, it has to be dug around back.
Right.
So, making good progress. Also, that Doug and I were talking about as well too, if anybody's noticed that container sitting there, that's a container that you're renting in order to store the furnishings and so forth,
Yeah.
and some materials as well.
Yeah, we didn't have any storage space on our own, so we got a company out of the Sioux Falls area to deliver one up for us, so.
Very good. Any further questions at all? Move on to.
Sure. that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything further on building grounds? Thank you, Amanda, for coming early, so there you go. Amanda Sandy is going to present home tax abatement public hearing.
Yes, so we have another application for home tax abatement. And we need to schedule the public hearing. We're looking to schedule it for May 9th so that we can meet the publishing guidelines. You should have some information in the packet if you have any questions on that. It is one thing that's a little bit different with this one. So it's the owner is Keith Freeman and the applicant is Derek Clare. The plan for this property is they're going to be building a house on, that parcel that's owned by Keith, but they will be doing a split. So it will eventually be two separate parcels. And so it will just be then Derek Clare's parcel that is the home abatement application. So again, something a little different that I haven't run into before, but
It really doesn't pose any problems because again, in our abatement policy, it doesn't talk about ownership going. And again, it's family and so forth, so I don't see.
yeah, what usually will happen, so like say it's a twin home, maybe there's a property that's built, it's one parcel to begin with, but then it may get split after it's built or, and then the abatement will change as the owner changes. So like, for example, that Zwart one that's going to be coming up, he is building it from the owner, but then eventually he will maybe not be the person that gets the actual abatement, it will be whoever buys the property.
Do we know at what time that this parcel is being separate from the other? Is that something they're in the works?
He just had told me that they're in the process of getting the survey done and stuff.
So they're working on it. It's just-
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions at all on this? If not, I entertain a motion to set a public hearing then for May 9th at 10 o'clock here.
I'll move.
Okay, thank you, Luke.
I'll support that.
Thank you, Dallas. Move in second. Any further questions or concerns about the time on this? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
Amanda, we're gonna do Swartz hearing the same date then?
So
We
then
want to do that on the 28th,
the Zwart one is actually scheduled for April 25th.
April 25th. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
We had planned actually on doing
Right.
that, but because of the publishing.
And the 25th was the date that we moved on, when we set the public hearing, or we need to take action on this. Resort, what was the date that we originally set for resort? Was it?
It was set for today, actually.
For today. So do we, my question is, do we need to take official action now to reschedule that? Because it seems how we weren't ready to do it today.
Yes, let's go ahead and do that.
You guys understand the thought process there. To set warrants for the 25th, the second, and the second, and again at 10 o'clock. Amanda, at 10 o'clock. So moved and second, but then the formalized warrants has been moved from today to the 25th at 10 o'clock. So any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? We know the board's passes. Just a technicality.
All right, wonderful. And I did notify both parties so that they kind of are aware of timelines. Now that we're having the nicer
Yeah.
weather.
Yes. Have you had
Actually, a pencil.
as well, too?
I haven't had any others yet.
Here you go. Here's a pen.
Well, thank you, Amanda.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mhm.
Next on the agenda is 10 o'clock with Kyle Creer from zoning, and Kyle's not here yet. Do you expect him sooner? Should we take the recess or should we go into personnel?
Kathy, ready for personnel?
Yeah, it's just gonna take a minute.
Okay.
Then before that, then we did put the Southwest 18, Steve, can you present on that right away here?
Let's do personnel first,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, as long as she's ready to go.
Hi, Kathy.
So the first item I have is the memorandum of agreement between the AFSCME Council 65 and it's for the deputy auditor for your free job. This position description was approved at the last board meeting, so this is just formalizing it and adding it into the union contract.
Kathy, the board does not have copies of that.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Did you?
And it's just established. Oh.
Yeah,
Is it in there? Oh, yes, I did. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay.
She just said that.
Must have been ahead of myself. Because I did it.
So this is really just formalizing where on the pay scale it goes and adding it onto their. So I just need board approval for that.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Chris. I will second, move in second to approve the agreement with the union for this deputy auditor treasurer position. Further questions or discussion? Do you have an individual in mind at this point?
Not yet.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. And then the next item is Keely Bentz, our deputy sheriff. She did resign effective March 30th. So I do need formal approval of her resignation. We'll be re-advertising for her deputy.
I'm sad to hear that. So we need to formally approve her resignation. Sure. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Doug. Move the second to approve the resignation. Any further discussion, questions? You're not all in favor? Aye. And make sure that you thank her for her service. Wish her well.
Will do. Thank you.
Steve, you want to present them on the Southwest 18 mental health consortium question?
Sure. What you have goes back here several months. Let me bring up my email. It goes back to actually in February and March. Southwest Health and Human Services sent this out through the law firm over in for Des Moines Valley for a fiscal host agent agreement. I submitted it to Domain County Attorney Sandy on this to review it. He did come up with issues on it, which I know that I did provide the board with as well. And they were going back and forth, and he never received any emails back from their attorney about changing this. However, in the meantime, this is an 18 county agreement. It's going on at least since 2001. So I did a copy of the old one with you. So it has to do with the Southwestern Mental Health, Adult Mental Health Consortium. I think we have members of our board on that as well.
It's also referred to as the Southwest.
Southwest 18. So, and it runs through our Health and Human Services as well. But apparently this agreement needs to be redone. And at this point, we are the last county of the 18 to sign this. The last email I got from Domain, he did state that he said it does no harm if the commissioners want to sign this agreement as written. But let me first suggest to the Pemberton attorney that they need to tone down the one-sided indemnification and hold harmless clauses in section 10 and give a little reciprocity if they want the county to sign this. So he's saying it's okay to sign, but has issues with it. And those issues to date have not been resolved to my knowledge. And all 17 other counties have signed this as written. So I would say in the spirit of getting this thing done at this time, I would recommend the board sign it and then have this group work with the Pemberton attorneys on trying to get this changed for future agreements so it doesn't seem so one-sided. But apparently our county attorney is the only one that I'm aware of that voiced any type of concern or on this event, on this agreement. So if the Pipestone County doesn't sign this, it affects the other 17 counties as well. I think it's in the best interest of Health and Human Service in this to have the board approve it, and let's see if we can get it fixed for the future. See if they'll do anything with it.
And this will be Friday, and it's my regular monthly meeting with this group. So, I can present informative.
Right. And Beth Wilms is very well aware what's going on. I voiced our concerns with her early on in this, but not getting any resolution with the attorneys out of Fairmont, I think is where they're from on this. So as far as the agreement goes, I know the Commissioner Johnson's noted there are some misspellings and issues with that, but I'm not in a position to change their agreement at this time. I think we signed it as it is and move on.
And I don't recall, this week in Lyon County last had some reservations as well, too, that they and then signed their agreement tonight. Two counties was, so we're not the only one that had questions about it. It's just that we don't want to hold up the process here, but we would like them to clarify going forward.
This is very poorly written. And frankly, some of the statements just to claim that the fiscal host has no responsibility or liability for performing services when in fact that is their duty. I guess I have a hard time getting behind. I mean, I'm all in favor of this organization moving forward, obviously, but this particular agreement is shoddy at best.
The idea is what the best way is to move forward on this was not to.
Well, I think like Steve said, somebody needs to work with, whoever is responsible for these to come up with something better, because this is not very adequate.
Does Southwest Health and Human Services have their own law firm working with them? Do they have any type of legal?
Well, who's this Pemberton keep mentioning?
That's Des Moines.
This is
Valley.
Des Moines Valley's attorneys.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And Des Moines Valley is the fiscal host.
Right.
And that's why they came down. So I guess our choice is either to go ahead and sign the agreement, say this agreement has got some shortcomings in it. Or is it also possible to give them a letter saying that we're in full support of Des Moines Valley? We'll support that, but we'd like to have this agreement cleaned up before we actually sign the agreement. Is that would just gum up the works.
They're already aware of our concerns. I mean, the Simoine, the attorney over there is, Beth knows, actually I got a hold of Beth, said, we don't like this. The board has a problem with this. And apparently they're taking no action on Pemberton's side to make any resolution of this. So I think you as a group with this and the members of it, all the 18 commissioners and Beth get together and come up with a plan to look at this agreement before the next one comes around and see if you can get this changed to make it so that there's adequate.
That last month's
Responsibility.
meeting, I did voice our concerns, but to reiterate, that's right. Yes.
So is this effective date of October 2022 still in effect?
I believe so,
think
yeah.
it is retroactive.
So then it would be coming up again relatively soon.
Yeah, because it's 12-month agreement.
So, yeah, so I guess I would tell them that, they better come up with something better by October.
Good point. Thank you. I will do that. You're good.
Just one other question, under the host fees, it says 2.5% of all annual revenue is how much they're compensated. You know what their annual revenue is?
I can go back to one of my reports. I can look it up during the break.
Sure, just curious.
It's, you know, it's, they work on some grants, and so but it's a fairly substantial.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of parts, it almost sounded like the consortium was doing part of the work as well as they were.
Mhm.
Because
So then-
our treasurer, the consortium's treasurer works then with their fiscal host, so. Fiscal.
But yet only this host is getting the fee.
Willing to make a motion would be to authorize the chairman to sign the agreement, and we'll send it to Des Moines Valley.
I don't make that.
Thank you.
Else. One second. It's been moved and seconded to authorize me to sign the agreement with Des Moines Valley at this fiscal host. I will again express some concerns. Point
Appreciate
out
that.
that it's the date's coming forward. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay. You want to take a break for a few minutes?
Yes, please. In response to the question about the Southwest 18 Health Enforcement Group, looks like our annual receipts on that are 1.6 million. So at the reimbursement rate into the fiscal host of a quarter of 0.25, that equates to about $40,000. Okay, then moving forward then, next item we've got on our agenda then is from Kyle Kerr, our zoning officer, Kyle, you're ready for it? Sure. Yeah. And if you'd introduce who you got here as well too.
Good morning.
Morning.
Brought a partner with me today. I'd like to introduce Shannon Bootsma. She is the new soil and water technician. That we hired. Shannon's on her fifth week. So I thought yesterday I was in a meeting with Luke and he hadn't met her yet, so I thought it would be beneficial just to come to the board, introduce her. So that you can see her faces and you can see her. So if you come to the office, you know that she's an employee. So she's going to be the technician for the soil and water, mainly focusing on working with landowners, identifying conservation practice needs, working with some of the soil health stuff, and kind of just assisting with miscellaneous field type duties. So
Buffer strips.
the goal has been doing the buffer strips and we'll probably continue. So we're still kind of feeling things out and things will transition over the next year yet. So.
Thank you. I'm from Edgerton, married to Brett Bootsma, and we have 4 kids who live us and ride horse for our hobby, and that's life.
Well, very good. Well, thank you. And appreciate you joining me.
So moving on, got a couple things today. The first one is a resolution. We opted out of the planning process for the Des Moines River watershed one planning process due to the amount of area that we have within the watershed. But I did feel that it would be beneficial for Pipestone County Board and Soil and Water to adopt the plan. By adopting the plan, it basically replaces our county water plan for that region of the county. So They put together the plan. I'm assuming it's very similar probably to our Missouri River watershed plan. But by adopting the plan, it'll give us the access to the dollars that will likely be coming from the Board of Water and Soil Resources to the watershed for implementation of that plan. So there is a resolution for you to adopt, or if you have any questions. All of these plans are pretty similar in nature. And most of the dollars that they will get, which is generally in that close to $1 million per biennium, is ran through a ranking system, and they try to do a priority based, so you kind of rank and you put your money towards your high priority practices.
So this resolution fund is 591323, which is kind of a boilerplate resolution that they gave you, or is it something you put together?
Nope, it's a boilerplate resolution that all of the counties within the watershed will be adopting. Once the plan is adopted, then there's public notice that's required, and there's opportunity for comments and appeals.
Very good.
I'd move for approval.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate that. I'll support it. Allison, who's gonna move in second?
You had one question. Yes, Mr. Chair. Do we know what priority or the portion of our county is?
I do not know. No. I've not seen the maps or all the details. I could probably dig into the plan more and get into the more details.
Yeah,
but
just curious.
Right.
It's not that big of an area, but
generally the upper reaches, I mean, I'm assuming we're probably low, but I can't answer that.
There's a new ditch that's going up there, and that's the one that we got
right.
hard. The ditch is not exactly in the Pipestone County, it's just what the ditch,
Right, the watershed of that ditch is in Pipestone.
it just looks like a big corner.
Right,
Yep, I've been talking to Amanda on that. I did just get the information from Travis, the ditch inspector in Murray County. So I'm gonna hopefully get all the shape files for us to be able to generate maps so you can see the area, or we can answer questions with landowners. And it's got the tables with all of the percentage of assessments by parcel for Pipestone County, so.
You might get some phone calls with that, because they're gonna be levying onto their taxes.
Right, it's gonna be minimal, you do, right, it's not gonna be real significant, but yeah, it's about an extra 2 to 3 sections for County Ditch 7.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's passed unanimously.
And then the next item, very similar in nature, is the One Watershed, One Plan process, or the grant application. The Redwood River, which is kind of a third of Etna Township up in the northeast corner. RCRCA, Area 2, which Luke is more familiar with, but RCRCA is planning to do the planning process for the Redwood River One Watershed, One Plan and apply for a grant. So they notified us of our option to either opt in or opt out of the planning process, having less than 10% of the watershed in Pipestone. So I'm here today to ask if the Pipestone County wants to be part of that planning process for the Redwood or not. We are part of the Redwood River watershed, so
with the
Yes.
source. I guess I feel we should.
But we don't have a specific action item that we're looking at today. This is some information today, or you bring forward an action item.
there would be, well, the action would be to notify Carrie Netsky from RCRCA if
Of
we
our
want to be
intents.
part of the watershed planning process or not.
So at this point, it'd just be a matter of notifying her to
Correct.
her of our intent.
Yep.
We don't have a specific action item or
No.
an agreement.
So when we did opt out of the Des Moines, we did send them a letter of support with notification that we were opting out. So if we opt in, we would just be included in that planning process and part of the grant application.
So then I certainly would entertain a motion and authorizing Kyle to indicate our intent.
Yeah, have my.
Okay.
I support that.
moved and seconded. Okay, for discussion or questions?
Pipestone County is kind of moved, you got 3 different watersheds.
Yeah.
To the Minnesota.
With that Buffalo Ridge, but way raised. And like I said, some of this in the very northeast corner of our county is such a small amount of land. It's still, we've got states as well too. Okay. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, and I will be taking that also to the Soil and Water Board on Thursday of this week for approval there too. Okay, that's all I have, so.
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
And welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, finishing up everything on the agenda, so back to our other items. We've got the, we need to set a date yet for the joint meeting with Western. Did Sarah give you any indication of times of the work?
Times, no, she just listed on the email that I provided in your packet. She said typically their boards meet on the 4th Monday, but open to 3rd Mondays as well, if that works better. Didn't put a specific time in there, but just trying to get 5 commissioners' calendars all together to try to come up with something is sometimes difficult.
So we'll go.
No, this would be here.
It'll be here.
This would be here. So she states that at their last board meeting, it was discussed if we'd like to see if we can do an open house for our new facility in Pipestone and combine this with a joint meeting with the Pipestone Commissioners and Western Mental Health Center Board. So it ended up being a special meeting of the board to do this. She said, thought it would be a great way to visit about current services in place and anything else you would like to see along with any changes or improvements so far in the process. Their board typically meets on the 4th Monday of the month, but they're open to the 3rd Mondays as well, if that works better for your group. Please visit with the board about this. I've already talked to 2 or 3 of them. I thought it was a great idea and just get back to me on potential dates and times in the upcoming months. So once I get it scheduled, she'll go ahead and work with the chamber and hospital on an open house for the offices. So just a matter of our 4th Monday is good for you, 3rd Monday is good for you.
The 24th of April will be the 4th, and that's good for me.
She's saying months, so it doesn't have to be in April. I mean, if you want to do it, so it's, doesn't appear to be it's time sensitive at this point.
No, that's every other month. Every other month. So no, I.
Well, Mondays are bad.
Oh, Mondays are okay.
3rd and 4th, CBD excited us on the 3rd and the 4th.
Yeah.
So the 24th won't work.
We don't have regular meetings, and it works for all boards.
Well, there's no reason we couldn't move it back a week in May 1st.
Like a whole other groups, board meetings.
No,
There's
May
a lot
1st
of moving
doesn't
parts and pieces, you know, so. And everything on my schedule.
So she's apparently really looking for 4th Mondays or 3rd Mondays. Because that's when their board meets. So you're out of, you're out of it anyway. On any of those.
May 15th.
We're gonna go that far. It's raining.
It depends.
So,
I can still work
Right.
May 15th.
That works for me.
What time would work better for you?
after, you know, some of it, I would be able to, you know,
Okay.
it's like, because I would do 9 AM for 16 seconds, maybe, on Zoom, so. Figure, so.
So May 15th, say like afternoon, 1 o'clock-ish type of
That
thing.
worked great,
Yeah.
Okay, I can fire that off for her. Any other dates you want to try for? I'm just thinking May would probably be better if she's trying to coordinate with the chamber and hospital on open houses and give her time to advertise and publicize this as well, I would think. Giving her,
Well, we won't take specific action on that.
No, I just-
Do you want to also have an alternative in case the 15th doesn't work for her?
sure. Any other dates in May?
22nd is. 22nd does not work.
Does it work for you?
Got a couple meetings that day.
So maybe our alternative would be.
What about the 29th? Is Memorial Day.
That's a holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we, for alternative, go back to April 24th for alternative, knowing that that would interest, so wouldn't be ideal. But it's an alternative if we had.
The afternoon time even doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. No, it's fine. 'Cause I mean,
Would it be possible to do it as part of one of your hospital board meetings, being you're there anyway, and that's where their offices are? Maybe in the afternoon or something on
The
the
25th.
23rd, May 23rd, that's a hospital board meeting date.
That'd be good for there,
It's a
right?
possibility, I mean,
Yeah, that'd be an alternative.
As it would be April 25th, would also be a hospital board meeting.
Right.
But again, they normally like Mondays instead of Tuesdays, so we'll throw out to them that 15th, looks like that'd be the most.
15th,
ideal.
23rd, or April 25,
But
got it. Okay, April 25, May 15th, May 23rd. Pretty much afternoons, it sounds like.
like you say. But at the same
Like you to
time,
be there
whatever
too.
works out for students, all in the board, we got coordinate that too, so.
Right. All right, I'll let her know and get back at you on that. Thank you.
Next item we got on here then is our Wex fuel invoices.
Yeah, this is just information, and I would like action on this, is that we're running into problems with not insurmountable problems, but we're having issues, believe it or not, with the mail. Since we don't pay our bills by ACH, which is a good thing because we aren't getting hacked and nobody's trying to scam us that way. But so we send checks, and sheriff's department checks and our checks all go to the Wex clearinghouse in Illinois, in Chicago someplace. And they need to get the checks by the 24th of the month, or if they don't get it posted by the 24th at 10 a.m., then they charge us a fee. So we actually got hit with a $75 late fee on our gas bill from Wex. So this is a monthly bill. It's going through normally. It's almost, in my mind, almost like paying your electricity bills, that we pay this. It's our fuel cards for our Equinoxes is what we're paying for, and the sheriff is paying for it for their squads. So I would like to add this to our auditor's warrant list so that we can get these out of here in a timely fashion and not run into this issue anymore. Because I've had this happen multiple times. One time I did get them to forgive us on it. It was actually their screw up. They still tried to blame us. But so they wouldn't forgive it this last time because we already had one forgiven to us. So I figured I'm just going to do another way. I talked to Amanda and Jody on it. They're in agreement that this should be done this way so that we can get this paid. It's a routine monthly payment that we pay. So it's nothing more. I mean, we've authorized it for Nick to do his cutting blades and things like that. And so it's just another one of these that occasionally do come up. So if we can do it as an auditor's warrant, I think it would and make our process easier, and we don't have to worry about late fees. So that's my recommendation to the board, to approve the Wex fuel bills to be paid as auditors warrants going forward.
Take specific action on that.
Motion and a second.
Very good, thank you, Dallas. The second, what's over here? There wasn't, I'll second. Move the second that we approve
Thank you.
the Wex to be paid off of that warrant. Okay. Further discussion, questions, other than thank you, Steve, for being proactive on this, not letting this thing fester. So that those late fees
Right.
are in all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes.
Thank you for that.
Here. We got everything except for the reports.
I agree.
We're done. Who went first?
Yep. You want 4 signs?
meeting was. March 14th, regular meeting. March 15, safety training. So, very valuable to me, things that, especially what they mentioned, if something bad does happen, if you're supposed to do it, active shooter. Yeah. Remember the 3 words? It was gunfight or hide.
Mhm.
Most important thing he said is, if you do subdue the shooter, don't be standing there with a gun. Hands up. And he's, police come in, they're gonna shoot the guy that's holding the gun, no matter if you're the good guy or the bad. So, that is very informative. May 20th or March 20th, the Gordon Bridge. I was glad to hear that only 10 of our 240 bridges are posted.
Mhm.
Very, very good.
Let's wait till we're done.
March 27th. Also the 27th, was Minnesota Energy Board. You've all heard about the federal credit for energy efficient things like windmills and things. It's not a credit anymore. They'll pay you a check. Direct payment. Direct payment. That's a big change. You don't have to wait to get it off your taxes. The power line that they're talking about now is from Lyon County to Becker. It's 160 miles. Somebody asked, well, why doesn't it come back farther toward the windmills? The answer that they gave is that 160 to 80 miles is relative limit for power line. We can only push it so far.
And that was XL Energy, I think, is what that line was, but I remember right, John.
340 kilowatt one. It's not gonna be quick, 2026 to 28.
Does that do anything for Pipestone County?
It really does.
No.
No,
Unless there's some pipes of company.
they can build up to it.
28th was a regular meeting. One other thing from their urban center board was they're still looking for Rock County land, $1,300 an acre to solar farm. Rent per year. That's not mine. That's what he's looking for. A company is. Oh. Give the name of the company.
And again, they don't have power purchase agreement anyway. So they've got no way to get them. So whether it's wind energy or solar, they still aren't getting out to market. So without that transmission line, so there'll be more of that.
Unless they get some more of the coin
Capacity.
the coin places to build something here to use up our energy.
Oh, yes.
Substation.
Well,
I like-
load, you got to build load.
Those
Like crypto.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. The hills, isn't there? That's a small one. That's using up some of the extra. And then 28th, we're going to meeting in hospital.
Anything else? Anybody has one right there?
March 1st, building committee discussion of the HVAC system here, law enforcement windows. March 9th, soil and water conservation district meeting. March 13th, legislative meeting on Zoom. March 14th, regular board meeting. March 15th, Southwest Health and Human Services in Marshall. March 20, regular road and bridge, or excuse me, road bridge hearing. March 20, also private industry council, Marshall, the orientation for new commissioners. And the regular meeting, they did a lot of discussion on jobs needed and job training they're doing. Most in-demand job in the area is the CDL. Someone in the CDL, so we know why highway department is, having issues.
Yeah.
Also, they're conducting a lot of youth career fairs for that type of thing, or just to see what the high school kids are interested in. They're trying to, push them into the jobs that are in demand. They do mock interviews for the students, resume reviews to teach the students, and then some career assessments for the students to get on board. March 27th, the extension meeting. Kind of encouraging to me, there's 268 kids in 4-H. I thought that was good. I was surprised there's that many in there. And they use 58 volunteers to help with 4-H. March 28th, regular board meeting. March 28th again, hospital meeting. March 29, radio board, Southwest Radio Board. That was my first meeting with them. So there's a lot to learn there. most of the meeting was talking about the next generation 911 system. Then the Minnesota Hospital Association, I'm doing the fast track trustee training certification, so I did that on March 6th and March 30th.
Good. Very good. You ready, Chris?
Up on the 13th, had the law liaison meeting, I don't think we really covered anything new there, just kind of went through reports.
But other than that, we're back at it now after COVID. This is really the first time we've done it. And then the new representatives, then we had, who's appointed for the city now? The city representative, Dan Delaney.
Yeah, and then Verdi and Colvin.
Verdi Colbeck, yours.
And on the 14th, the personnel meeting. 15th, had union negotiations. The 20th had SRDC. Not a whole lot to report on. Jake, I don't know if you guys know, the Jake trustee had a real bad turn out over the last few months.
I didn't know that.
Including open heart
Oh, my.
surgeries and stuff, so
Wow.
it's really impacted. So our meetings have kind of shrunk down a little bit. So they don't really have a whole lot to report. There's some new solar projects going on. I did get nominated to put on their executive committee, so we'll be meeting with them every month. So, which is the next meeting is on Thursday. On the 27th, had CPP in the morning. I got to be a long one. To the point that we actually hold a special meeting here on the 24th to continue on. A couple of issues were talking about the older counties being mandatory, being part of the tax free rate program, and all the other contracted counties that's separate. Basically, we don't want to have anyone come in that's not part of the tax free rate, or et cetera. And then the other one was talking about the contracts with North Dakota counties. They're kind of trickling out, but some of them were really dependent on CPT for software. There is benefits of letting them go. There's the lowest tax could then focus on the Minnesota tax rewrite. There's very little revenue gain from the North Dakota counties. They could then have an NCIP for insurance then, because we would be providing services for only Minnesota then. So, but that again, that's going to be we have to continue on that topic there too. So, because there would be some financial loss, but it would be less than 10% of your annual income. So but again, I'll report more on that if we come to a conclusion on that. And then later on the 27th, that extension, and I guess we did vote on the farm pay in the year there. So Mike and Cindy Boston accepted it. So
Oh, nice.
presented that this year at the fair. And then on the 28th, I had the regular meeting with P60 boarding.
Thank you, Chris.
On the 14th, had the personnel committee and then attended the Green Township annual meeting. That was in this room, very well attended. On the 15th, union negotiations. On the 20th, annual road and bridge hearing. On the 22nd, had our Highway 23 coalition day at the Capitol. Met and spoke with 50 or more legislators, mostly Republican, only 3 Democrats showed up. We were informed that Republican projects were not being heard in committees. They don't need their votes, so they're not even bothering to hear the projects, which is not good news for most of rural Minnesota. And then we had our regular board meeting following that, which was planning for the Highway 23 annual meeting, which is this Friday in Mora. And everyone's welcome to attend. Congressman Pete Stauber is going to be speaking there. On the 23rd and 4th, and their consultants board, mostly federal and state updates and Rivera system updates. On the 27th, at the Regional Southwest Solid Waste Commission, they're working on the 10-year plan update. At the hospital board meeting on the 28th. On the 29th, the AMC Governance Committee, where we just met for the first time. We're reviewing the AMC bylaws and board policies and whatnot. And then the AMC Leadership Conference began that day, and it went through the 31st. Steve and I were there, and that was pretty good. On the third, at Minnesota Rural Counties, we had our broadband update from the state director, legislative updates and concerns. And had updates from AMC staff, Matt, Carly, Brian, and Emily. On the sixth, Area 2 in our CRCA, got a final checklist to finish off the bridge project. They're currently in the bonding bill for $1.5 million and in the omnibus bill for their administrative funding for Area 2. And then yesterday had plan ops and at the hospital and the Missouri River One Watershed One plan where we're nearing closeout of the first round of funding from 2020. About half of the 2022 funding is encumbered and they're applying for an NRCS grant to extend the 2-year pilot of conservation agronomist position that they are helping pay for. It's actually a new vision employee, but they figure they might get more buy-in from landowners if they actually had an agronomist. A lot of times they'll listen to them since they're the ones that help them plan for their fertilizer needs or, crop needs or whatever. They might be more willing to, consider other types of projects if their agronomist is on board or whatever.
This agronomist is still going to continue as an efficient employee. It won't be a.
Correct.
Yeah.
But they're seeking a NRCS grant to extend where it would help pay for it for like 3 additional years or whatever. So I'm sure both parties are probably happy about that. New vision because it's being partially covered and the watershed group because they get some assistance. And hopefully more buy-in from people using those programs. That's all I have.
For myself and on the first, we had building grounds, as Doug had already talked about, progress on that. On the 10th, Southwest 18 mental health consortium, we talked about that earlier as far as this fiscal host agreement, get that squared away. Other than that, for mental health, the same thing we hear all mental health, lack of beds, lack of providers, same thing. So on the 13th, Chris talked about law liaison meeting, that discussion. Also, I think I mentioned that obviously we had Prime West then on Thursday, so that was actually the 2nd of March. The lawsuit, we're still got this suit that we filed against the Department of Health and Human Services for county-based purchasing. No ruling is done on that yet. That's still in the works. It's being appealed and so forth. So it's ongoing. Report on that.
Being appealed to the Supreme Court here.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't know if it's going. I think it may. I don't know if it's going to the Supreme yet.
Or
It's just
an appellate court.
The appellate. I think it's the appellate. It's just started the appeal process. Again, because DHS is still taking quite literal that they can do what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not what the law reads.
That's no, in fact, it's directly opposite of what the verbiage in the law is. On the 15th, then I had my health and human services up in Marshall. I also sat on the finance board for health and human services as well. On the 20th, we had a regular SMOC meeting in Worthington, and then we had another SMOC meeting. I guess it was just that one on the 20th. We have put our executive director on the page that process. On the 21st, then I had my clean energy board meeting, which was still, and also we had a rural Minnesota energy board meeting that day as well too. There was also a Zoom meeting. On the 23rd, our Pipestone area coalition that school, then the anti-alcohol coalition. Now we're starting more. Also on that day, as you know, I've been working with that hospital OB work group, and we had a prospective physician come meet us then on the 23rd last Monday. So I actually picked him up at the airport. And very nice, instead of him renting a car there, we thought it'd make more sense to pick him up. So I actually used the county's vehicle for the hospital to pick him up. And I had a good visit and about the ice, we got there a little bit early. And I think the gentleman's very interested. His name is Nicholas Field. And he's very interested and we'll see. I think probably by our next board meeting, house board meeting, we'll know a lot more. Looks like that's some potential. On the 27th, then had Minnesota Rural Energy Board in Slayton. And on the 28th, when we finish up the meeting here, this is more just for information only, we had Kiwanis Group come in, and then Keith did a tour and then of the jail and dispatch center, and it was very well received. A lot of people enjoyed that, so appreciate their information on that, or their participation on that. It was a good outreach for us. Also on the 30th, back to some hospital business as well too. I joined Brad and I went down to a very visit with Mark Orthman's and Dr. Polster on some of the other issues there. So we made our position very clear. So hopefully we make some progress there. I'm happy to do that. That completes my report. If anybody has any other business to bring the board forward, if not, I will call adjourned at 10:36. Thank you, everybody. Good.